Hey, my kitchen peeps, how are we doing today? It is a frozen Sunday out there. For everybody that lives around Washita Parish in North Louisiana, you know it is freaking cold today. By the time you watch this, who knows what the weather will be. But anywho, today we are going to brine some pork chops. We're actually going to roast them for dinner in a little while. Another, here we go, super easy way to fix pork chops. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about brining meat and what a great, easy technique it is to take a meat that could be maybe a little dry or maybe even a little tough and make it a little more tender and juicy. So brining is nothing more than a salt solution. So we're going to take this Pyrex dish and this Mambo thing of salt. Yep, no, it's not coconut oil. It is pink Himalayan salt. And make a brine, which is 1 quart of hot water to 1/4 cup of salt. That's it. Hold that. So I've got my little handy dandy teapot water boiler thing. And I know I've told y'all I'm not really into kitchen gadgets, but oh my word, I love this thing. I hadn't had it in a couple months and I love it. I mean, it's awesome. You fill it with water and it just sits on a little burner thing and it's electric. When you want hot water, you hit that button and in a couple minutes, it's a nice little small rolling boil. It's so awesome. So anyway, enough of that. So I've got my quart of water in here, hot water, and I'm gonna put 1/4 cup of the salt. And again, please use sea salt, Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt. Just don't use iodized table salt. That stuff is gross. But anyway, so I'm gonna mix this up real good. But let me tell you, the meat that we're going to be using today is, yes, my favorite farm on the planet, Mahaffey Farms. I've got 2 packages of their, look at these beauties. Look at that. Ooh, is that gorgeous? It's so pretty, pinkish, nice white fat that is delicious. That fat is better than butter. Look at that baby. And they're bone in. These things are amazing. We have grilled them. They're awesome on the grill. But today I'm going to throw them in the oven because it's like -700 out there and we're not going outside to grill. But I've just got them laid in a pan and I'll turn the camera down so you can see what I'm doing after I get all the googly off my fingers. So hang on just a second. All right, can you see that? Oop, there we go. So this is my water with my salt. We're just gonna mix it around until the salt kind of dissolves, which doesn't really take long because your water's hot. Now, one thing you wanna do is you wanna have hot water so that your salt dissolves, but you don't wanna pour boiling hot water on top of your raw meat. So, and well, let me show you this. I've just got like a 2-quart Corningware dish that I'm going to pour this over, but I got to let my water cool down some. So I just wanted y'all to see how I did this. I mean, really, see how easy this is? But you can still see in the bottom there's some salt that's not dissolved. So we'll just stir it around, let it get good and dissolved, and then give it a few minutes to cool. I mean, it doesn't have to be cold. You just don't want it hot. You don't want to start cooking your meat. So just, kind of down to room temperature. And pour it over the meat, and then we'll stick it in the fridge and let it stay in there anywhere from, I'd say, like a minimum of a couple of hours up to overnight. You don't want to go much more than that. I mean, I guess you can. I don't. This is your most basic brine solution, water and salt. You can add all kinds of spices to this, whatever fits the meat you're cooking. You could add some orange peel, some juniper berries, some bay leaves, peppercorns, all kinds of stuff. I tend to just keep my brine very basic and then do whatever I'm going to do to my meat later, and I'll show you that in a little while. But you can fancy it up, and you can get online and find 10,000 different versions of brine recipes to use, so knock yourself out. This is really good for, you've heard people brining turkeys. It's kind of a classic thing. Chicken breast that's dry and gross and nasty, which I wouldn't eat anyway, and there's not a lot of nutritional value there. But if you like chicken breast, brine that sucker, and it'll make it juicier and it'll be a lot better. So anywho, the brine will sort of break down the muscle fibers a little bit and let the liquid soak deeper into the meat. And so it's going to give it a little more salty. I mean, it's not going to be salty because I'm not a big salty eating person, but it's going to give it a little more flavor. And so you want to watch your salt when you're cooking with it afterwards, just because it's not quite the same as a raw piece of meat. But it's just really going to add liquid, break those fibers down a little bit, which is just going to make it more tender and super stinking juicy. So I'm going to pause this and let the water cool down a little bit, and then we're just going to pour it over and let it sit for probably, it's 1 o'clock, I don't know, probably going to let it sit for about 4 hours, and then I'll come back and start cooking it, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. But I wanted y'all to see, get you some Mahaffey Farms pork chops. No, this is not a paid advertisement. I just love their pork. Find any local farm to you and support them. Please support them. We need our local farmers, and the only way they're going to hang around and we're going to have more of them is if we buy from them and support them. They love what they do. We need to love that they're doing what they're doing. So find your farmer, give them a hug, buy their stuff. So I'll pause this. We'll come back, and then we're going to have the juiciest pork chop ever for supper. Okay, you know what I failed to tell y'all, and I'll tell you real quick, is if you're, as some people call it, extremely impatient, or as I prefer to term it, extremely efficient, you can not put quite 1 quart of water in your dish. Do like, a quart is 4 cups. So if you do about 3 cups of hot water, melt your salt, and then add some ice, like I just did. The ice melts really quick, brings the temperature up of your brine, and then you don't have to wait so long for it to cool down. So a cheater tip, but it works really well. So that's what we just did. Let me turn this down again so y'all can see as I add the brine, which is not a super exciting thing, but all you want to do is just make sure your pork chops are covered. I mean, wow, that's hard. I really should have a deeper dish. But my typical brining dish is full of my 87 gallons of bread pudding I made the other day. So that's going to be exciting to get to the refrigerator. I'll probably put it on another tray, but that's all you want to do. Make sure your pork chops are covered and let them sit in the salt solution. Just going to set that on there, and that's it. And you know, really, I kind of guess I sound like I'm second guessing myself on everything I'm saying. I don't mean to. If you're going to cook it within a few hours, you don't even have to refrigerate it. If it's just going to be a few hours, just let it sit out on your counter. It's not going to hurt anything. This was brining originally, way back in the day, was a method to preserve meat before refrigeration. So the whole point of putting the salt water on it was to preserve it. So you think it could sit out on the counter for a little bit? Probably wouldn't be a problem. So since mine is so dangerously near the edge and I don't feel like mopping right now, I'm going to let mine sit out because it's only going to be a few hours. If you want to do it overnight, then you might want to throw it in the refrigerator. Again, you really don't have to, but some people are paranoid that way. So that's that. We're going to let this sit. I'll come back in a while when we're getting ready to stick it in the oven and show you the extremely simple method that I'm going to use to cook it. But here I'm going to tell you a little tip on, let's go back to our meal prepping video, how we can pre-do things. So just to go with my scenario of planning on Saturday, prepping on Sunday. So Saturday I decided I'm going to have pork chops during the week. I'm going to take them out of the freezer and or buy them. Sunday, while I'm doing all my prepping, I'm going to brine them. So make my brine first thing, let them sit all day long. By the end of the day, if you're going to cook them on Monday, you could brine later Sunday evening, cook them the next day. I would tend to brine them, drain them, put them in a dish, stick them in the fridge. They are ready to rock. And so during the week, when you get ready to cook your pork chop dish, you don't have to worry about brining. You don't have to worry about getting home from work and trying to figure out how you're going to have a 2-hour brine. They're ready. Or another option would be have them thawed. Make your brine one morning, again, it's so fast. It doesn't take long. Make your brine one morning, throw your chops in them, let them sit all day long. Then when you get home, pull them out and cook them. So that's a way that you can, you know, it seems like, oh, I got to let it soak and marinate for hours, blah, blah, blah. It really is not a big deal if you plan just a tad. Okay, so noodle on that. We'll be back in a few hours. Okay, we're back. It's a little bit after 6, so my pork chops have been brining about 5 hours because it was a little bit after 1 when I did it earlier. So I'm over at the sink. I'm going to drain them, rinse them really quick, pat them dry, and then we'll get them seasoned in the oven, if I can talk. So I just realized I didn't grab any paper towels. Let me do that real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully I won't make a disastrous mess. So let's see how this goes. All right, here is my pan. And what I'll do is a little bit of cold water. And I don't, you know, the jury's kind of out for me about rinsing them off. I've done it, I've just always done it this way. I guess I probably should do a little reading and research and see what the experts say, but you know, whether you have to, you should, you shouldn't, whatever. Ooh, that was a lot lighter than what I picked up last time. Okay, and so all I want to do is just kind of pat them dry a little bit because I don't want them to be drippy wet when they go in the pan. And what I'm going to use to cook mine is my favorite, very favorite cast iron. So I've got a cast iron skillet sitting right over here, and I have put a little bit of bacon grease in the bottom, probably about 2 tablespoons, just because I want them to have a little bit of good, healthy, yummy, awesome fat on them and help them get a little bit crisped up. But that's about it. So they're jammed in the skillet. I'm going to pause this for a second so I can wash my gooky hands, and then we'll jump right back to seasoning. Okay, hopefully that's kind of halfway straight. So I'm going to just flip my chops over because they were, you know, kind of down in the oil just a little bit. Like I said, I mean, it's not even melted all the way, but it's about 2 tablespoons. That's what I put down in the bottom. So I'll flip these just so they each have a little bit of oil on them. Ooh, these are going to be so good. And then for seasonings, I got a rub I make, a Louisiana rub, that I'm going to use. And just, see, look, I don't have anything in my seasonings to make them not stick. Oh, so darn, they stick. Hang on, let me get a fork and I'll break this up. It's really easy, and then I'm not putting chemicals in my body. 1 second. Okay, see how easy? Look, you just kind of do that, and look, it breaks right up. No big deal. And then my seasonings are nothing but pure seasonings, spices and herbs. No junk, no silica, and I'm fixing to sneeze, I think. These things are potent. So anyway, this is a blend that I make, like I said, called Louisiana Rub. I may do a video on it sometime because it's really good. It's super awesome on chicken wings. We do that a lot. I'm kind of a dry rub person for my wings. So we'll do that and then flip it over. And then my fingers are going to be so gooky, I'm not going to be able to get the seasonings on, but we'll figure it out. Ooh, y'all, these are going to be super good. I've got my oven preheated to 400. So I want it, you know, pretty hot because I want to get a good sear on the outside and, you know, just a little bit rare. And I know that may freak some people out because, oh my God, rare pork. Well, I don't want it bleeding or anything, but I want it a little bit pink on the inside. So I'm going to guess, I should have measured, probably a couple tablespoons of seasoning. But experiment and do whatever you want to do. I mean, if you've got a favorite seasoning blend you make or buy or whatever, and, you know, give it a shot. You can never go wrong with just classic salt, pepper, some garlic. Goodness gracious, that's amazing. All right, so there's our seasoning. That one looks a little wimpy. And then I'm gonna put a little bit, probably, that's about a tablespoon of coconut sugar. And it's just going to help give it a nice brown on the outside. And it's not really enough to sweeten it because I don't want it sweet. It'll just help kind of brown it up good. Doesn't that look yum? You'd think there were 10 people in this house, as much meat as I'm cooking. It's just 3 of us. But my 18-year-old eats like 5 people, so. All right, so I'm gonna pop this in the oven, like I said, on 400 and give it about 15 minutes. Then I'm gonna flip them and give them probably another 10, and that should do it. But we'll be back and I'll confirm the final time and show you what the final product looks like. Okay, those beauties just came out of the oven and they look amazing. Check this out. Whew, that is supper. I mean, they are perfect. Yeah, I may have cut a little chunk off the corner, a couple chunks off the corner, just testing them out. But anywho, it was 30 minutes. I wound up not flipping them over. Whoops, don't have my camera straight either. I didn't flip them over, so it was 30 minutes on 400 because these are really thick. I mean, they're very thick chops. And then I turned it up to 475 and gave it about 5 minutes just to kind of get a little brown and pretty on top. So that's it. Brined, amazing local farm pork chops. Give them a shot. Oh, I almost forgot. Don't forget, like, hug, share, clap, cheer, throw money, whatever. You know, all the stuff. Let's get a little community going. So do all the little things you need to do. Thanks and have a great one.